Well. Welcome everyone to America's premier premium extravaganza toy podcast. I'm your lovely, gorgeous host, Chet Maddox, along with the ever so handsome, incredibly dapper Dr. Brentley. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. And I've got my little co-host right here.
Ooh.
Who may or may not be letting her opinions be known all throughout the episode.
Yeah, opinions must be known. And Mr. Storm is out, and he had to do some repairs on his what is it called? Oh yeah, one of his yachts. But we have a good show.
The dumpy one, not the good one.
Yeah, the dumpy one. We are going to get into Hasbro. We're going to talk about Burnout and everything else. And there's a lot of information we got to go over. But hang out. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. You know, you can always tell when you're not wanting. I'm gonna have to talk to Steve because cutting me off mid-sentence is it's fine. It is what it is.
I thought it was the thing because I've watched every episode and you're in the middle of some beautiful pronouncement and then the show just ends. I don't know if that's due to Sarlacc time or what, but
I have no idea. I've been trying to figure it out, but I just let things ride. Look, there's a lot of burnout happening, and as we have talked about, we just got back from like San Diego Comic-Con, and conventions are happening, and pre-orders and new things, and all that shit is coming on. So there are a few things happening right now in the order it and wait a year category that we're going to really kind of dig into a little bit tonight. I want to get everyone's input, so please give us as much information as you have. Thank you everyone for jumping in. Everybody over on X, we see you, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, Purple Monster, all of that stuff. Welcome on in. We are going to hit up the fan bag really quick to see who's actually in here. We have Commander Bly. Give me that XP. That is right. He's gaining that XP. I still to this day don't know how the XP works because I have tried to figure it out. I know how it works on other platforms, but YouTube, I think it's just like, hey, we're going to try this and see if it keeps people interactive, but I don't think that's how that works. Pop that XP. Big booty. Big. Okay. And then, of course, from the best damn Star Wars podcast on the internet, Sarlacc's Digest's own Darth of the Moochers. Welcome in, sir. Tripping with Toys, welcome. How you doing? Good to see you in. And then, yes, I have to say that I was very, very impressed with that video by the dapper man himself, Dr. Brentley. So, all right, where do we begin? First off, let me ask you this question. I know that you're not somebody that does a lot of like collecting like on the extremes. I mean, you have a lot of really cool shit, but it's like vintage. Before we get into everything we've talked about on Pixel Plastic Inc., you've been over on Toy Box every now and then. What is your thought process and your mindset when you look at something that's like a crowdfunding? Let's call it that.
Yeah, I mean, it really has to be something that I'm super interested in. I'm not looking to, like buy it now and wait and sell it later, even though most of these you can. and mark it up a lot. But I really, that's not something I'm interested in. It's either I want it or I don't. I'm not going to go through the hassle. And honestly, I don't like how most of the crowdfunding works with the tiers, which is something we're going to get into. But, that's always something that kind of pissed me off, where if I'm paying this base price, you're telling me that there's a chance I could get these 3 other really cool things, but maybe not.
Sure.
And I won't have to pay any extra. So,
Yeah.
well, give it to me now. Why
Right.
are you doing this?
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the mindset for a lot of things. So, like, a little bit of backstory on this stuff is like, the HasLab, in my opinion, like HasLab spawned, HasLab, Mattel Creations, the McFarlane one that's happening, which we'll get into. A lot of that stuff, in my opinion, I think a lot of that stuff spawns from the idea of Kickstarter, right? And just like Moocher said, like, yeah, same. I'd rather just have a base offering. That's exactly it, right? So I think that a lot of this, I think a lot of the crowdfunding comes from the idea of like Hasbro at some point in time was like, well, if they can do it, then we can do it. And the whole idea of like crowdfunding, which I think a lot of people forget, and this is what pisses me the fuck off. Like we had Chris Scott on for Grindhouse Toys. That has always been the purpose of a crowd fund, right? You don't have the astronomical amount of money it costs to produce something. And astronomical can be anything. It can be from $10,000 to $110,000 to $200,000, right? And the idea of Kickstarter, why it was so good in its infancy, was that it was a way for people to believe in what you're doing, not own a part of your company, but say, hey, I believe what you're doing, and then pay into it and then get their product eventually. And it was your job, your responsibility as that person that said, here's what I'm putting forward, to then create that for people. That's the whole concept of crowdfunding, right? And that is, like, I just talked to Chris today. Like, he's already back at like the grind after San Diego Comic-Con. Like, he's going at it, like he's working on packaging. So like that's the whole point. And like Commander Bly said, I think someone thinks that backers will be inspired to do free marketing in order to get the tiers funded. This statement is exactly the problem with HasLabs. And not to mention, we've talked about this over on Sarlacc Digest, and I know you've been in and out of the comments on this. Like, do you feel like the Hasbros, Mattels, and McFarlanes and all those are listening to what the actual like fans want, or do you think that it's a fan trying to do a HasLab that they want to do?
I think McFarlane listened. He's the only one so far. Everyone else is still doing business as usual. And it used to be these big companies, because they are so big and have, it's like they can make what they want, tell you what they're making, and tell you like, hey, this is what you want, you're going to buy it, right? That's how things worked in the past, where it's like, we're going to make something cool, and it's going to be so cool, you're going to want to buy it, and you can get it at any store you want. And for some reason, I guess they lost their ass on too many of these really bad ideas that they put out, that they're like, well, maybe let's do it like these other guys so we don't lose our ass.
Yeah. I mean that's it. So I mean, let's get into it, and let's start with the old HasLab. So I think this is a question. Let's see. Commander Bly, Chet, to your point, who the F was begging for Snowcat? Literally nobody. And you and as Rad said, Dr. Bradley would 100% buy every Indiana Jones crowdfund. Yeah.
Hey, if they made them, you goddamn right.
Yeah, he totally fucking would. Rad Toys Galaxy, haven't even checked to see if the Slow Cat funded. Well, don't worry, we will get in The snow
Hey.
cat. What I hate is that Hasbro gets scared way too easy. LOL. Bring back the Rancor. Yeah. Okay. So this is my absolute point of conversation tonight. And this is what happens when you don't pay attention to what everybody is telling you that they want, and you just make the assumption that you know what they want. Okay. So we took this picture earlier in the day because we had to get the assets ready. Steve likes to get everything done super early. So okay, before this was going on, and before, like, I would say even after you got to the point where it was the end of the when they finished the Rattler, and then they finished like Ghostbusters. Find any version of online discussion anywhere that you want, whether it's Reddit, their own website, like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. And everybody was talking about the next Joe being a tank. It didn't matter which version of a tank, it was just a tank, right? So somewhere in the data processing unit of people that were listening, they translated to like, well, the snowcat will have treads, so that counts as a tank. And here's what's funny. This picture was taken earlier, like way earlier in the day, and it says that there's 7,836 backers right now.
Less?
Right now, there's 7,839 backers.
Woo.
That's how fucking slow this is going. What are your thoughts? And I know that you're not like a massive like Joe collector, but like, what is, when you look at this like objectively, right? Which I think is important to why this conversation has to be had with you, is like objectively, like looking at this, like what does that tell you?
Well, the first thing is, I think it's too expensive for what I'm getting. Right? Like, this does not look like $325 to me. Especially when you look at some of the other Hasbro things like that they did with Star Wars, like the little sets with 2 figures or 3 figures and, you know, little play sets, and it's like half the price. So, you know, with all of the stretch goals, it might be worth it. But look, they're probably going to barely eke this out in the next week, because they only need 200 more people. But you know, they're not getting any of the tiers. So is it worth it? I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know if I already backed out of it. I saw it. It looked cool at Comic-Con, and I get that was like not the final version of it. But see, Judge Dredd said business is inherently risky. If you are adverse to risk, you shouldn't be in business. Yep, I totally agree with that. Darth Moocher said Snowcat is a good idea, but I think you guys said it last week or so. There should have been an Arctic theme with mainline figures with and small vehicles first. That's exactly the point. Like like, where was the lead up to this? They hadn't done anything. Everyone wants kind of like the final version of it. This was at San Diego Comic-Con. If you look, they had to add shit in that didn't even make sense.
Yeah, and again, this probably would have worked if you build up, you know, because how many figures did they release before this, knowing this was going to come out, right? So it's like, we can build the snow characters, and then, hey, guess what? Here's a snow vehicle. All of a sudden, great. I can put all my characters in it. Now you have to wait, hope that they do some more. And if this, you know, it's not really selling that well, are they going to continue with this? Or are they going to take the message like, oh, well, people don't like snow, so let's do something else?
Well, I think that's a problem. Like Grad said, can't wait to put this put the picture of this unfunded HasLab next to the picture of the unfunded. Yeah. Also,
and the Rancor.
Also on people wanting a tank, I think it's just a matter of time they will get to it. Yeah, but Ramen Toys is already doing the tank, and a lot of people were excited about that and have seen that.
And it looks cool.
Yeah, Rad Toys says like the first tier is trash. Like it's I don't know.
Yeah, and then the second tier is like the bivouac tent with a campfire.
Yeah.
Then the good stuff is at the end. It's like, oh, that's the character I want with the accessories I want. We're never gonna get there.
Yeah. Is it worth it if tiers don't fund? Not at all. No. And then oh look, Thunderous Storm took a break from fixing his yacht. Good evening, gents. I think it funds, but I don't think all the tiers get unlocked. Yeah.
I don't think any tiers get unlocked.
No, Rad said may see a drop if no tiers are guaranteed. Yeah. Look at I think on this Snowcat, what would have really made it skyrocket is people would have been like, it's a Snowcat. But if they just would have made it as like a troop carrier, people would have been like, oh, but it's a troop carrier Snowcat. Like I'm gonna get that, right? So like these tiers, hey, at least you get a sticker sheet.
Well, I mean, it's better than the patches, right?
I guess.
You can do more with a sticker. You don't have to iron it on, sew it on.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, well, it is. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. It is a little bit better than patches. But I think the thing what happens with this is that Lady J will end up becoming like a figure. They'll actually probably just take this and be like, well, we screwed that up. Like, let's just turn this into like a release. The bivouac battle station. I know he's not here to confirm it, but I'll confirm for him. Mr. Storm was really excited about this and said that if they had made it as like a solo thing, he probably would have bought about 6 or 7 of them, because when he does go camping, he wants to really be able to set up his action figures next to him while he's fishing. Now, I know he's not here, but next week or on Friday, he'll confirm that what I'm saying is in no way, shape, or form a lie. And you know that. You've known him for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, he can't do anything without setting up a little scene next to himself of his action figures. So,
yeah. And then like, look, Flint's cool, but like, I just don't know where they were going with this. But Mr. Storm said seeing it at SDCC was way under impressive in person. It's big, but that's really it. Yeah, that's the problem. Is it was really, really big. See, and you can see that he can confirms that he was going to buy 6 of the bivouacs. So,
and so you saw this in person, right?
Sure.
And there's plenty of things that you've said you've seen in person and online. It did not look great, but once you saw it in person, you're like, oh, wait a second, I take it all back.
Yep.
And that's bad when it's the other way around, especially for a big company and a big toy line like this.
Yeah, and I can give you an exact example of recent times that happened. So Mezco released their Rumbler, right? And the pictures were cool. You know, I like, it is what it is. Like, we got LA Comic-Con coming up, so a lot of my money's tied up in like the booth and doing that. But I was like, yeah, I'm not like, it's cool. And I know Rad got the Rumbler. And so but when I was at SDCC, I saw the Rumbler in person. I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty cool. Right. And it's now, was it as like detailed as I wanted it to be? I still think the plastic, I still think it was too glossy to be a vehicle. I think it was a little cheap on like the gloss. Like they should have done like a matte finish on it. But I will tell you that I literally saw that right after we had looked at the Snowcat, and I was more impressed with the Rumbler than I was with the Snowcat. And the Rumbler is like, it's basically the same price. It's literally the same price, but you get a working winch. So yeah, I'm with you. Like I think when you look at it and it flips, it's like, well, that's not good. And if you remember the last time we talked about this last week, I think, but when they had SDCC and then um they they showed the Rattler at San Diego Comic-Con. If you were watching the HasLab, that shit spiked. Like you can go back and look at like when they started to back it, and that shit like just jumped as soon as people started seeing it.
And they probably thought a similar thing would happen once the Snowcat got out.
Yep.
And not the case.
Yeah. They made a troop carrier with no troops. Exactly. Tank from Ramen Toys is sick. The fan bag is blowing up tonight, dude. It's crazy. Why were tears not other snow dudes? Yeah. Darth Moocher said his prediction is final number is going to be around 9K.
I don't think it could get even that high.
Yeah,
honestly.
even if they push in like the like.
Oh right, they do that international order shit at the end.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, if it gets to the point where it unlocks like the second tier, like I may jump back in just to jump back in, but I don't see.
Just so you can get that camping set for Mr.
Dude,
Storm.
because I want to give something to Storm for his birthday. Even the way these two are dressed, they would die in the Arctic. Yeah. See, this is the problem. They're also not really thinking like realistically.
Yeah.
I just bought a Valverse Vanguard and the upgrade kit for less than 150. So why would I buy that for 350? Yeah.
Yeah, there's other companies that are doing similar type of vehicles and for a lot less. So you have to ask yourself, why is that? Is it the IP? Is it they just have such a huge overhead that they have to charge extra for these things?
Yeah.
And you know, they've got to do something to bring these costs down.
Yeah. Well, and they have the ice chest, which is like Judge said, who needs it. And then Alex agrees. The Rattler. Okay, Mr. Storm thinks that international orders this will hit 12K. Well, 12K, we're getting the camping set, so maybe I'll go in on it. Yeah, this is the other problem, and this was something that Moocher had pointed out on Sarlacc, was that they had said a while back that like they weren't going to be running 2 tiers, right? Or 2 HasLabs, but here we are.
Here we are. And one of the other ones that they're doing also is not looking great, which it might even not fund.
Yeah. Quick Kit used to run around in the snow in his bare feet, so I think they'll be good. That's true. Speaking of other ones, the Star Wars one is moving even slower.
Yeah, and they have a month, but yeah, they're only up to 3,000 out of 8,000 backers.
And I think that's slower than what the Snowcat was running.
Yeah,
I don't know, Moocher or Commander Bly. Someone hit us up and let us know. I think this is technically running slower than the Snowcat was, man.
Well, it's also $125 more than that. This is a big layout. You're talking over $500 once you're dealing with shipping and all that.
Right.
You know, unless you're Hasbro Pulse.
And let's just put this out there for everybody. So before we had gone live, we were talking off camera, and you said you had run the numbers, right? So on the Snowcat at 8,000 backers, what was that total that you came up with?
So the Snowcat had to be $2.6 million with the 8,000 backers.
Okay.
So that's what their goal is. 8,000 backers equals $2.6 million.
So a little over $2.5 million to make that snow tank. Got it. Okay.
This one,
at
8,000 people is going to be $3.6 million because of the extra money. So that they're not doing anything unless they get $3.6 million in the bank.
Right. For this.
Yeah. And honestly, it looks great. It's big. It's impressive. But there's other ones already out there. So it's not like it's something we haven't ever seen before.
Yep.
And the tiers aren't that great where, like, oh, I have to get this. There's a couple of Jedi that haven't been released yet, but it's not like it's some Jedi that, as a non-fan or, just a fan of the movies and nothing else, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get that. Like if it was Yoda on, like ready for battle in the thing, that would be maybe different, but it's not.
Yeah.
Not worth $450 at all.
Yeah. Not worth $450. And that's coming from the best damn Star Wars podcast on the internet.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think would be like a viable price for this?
I mean, for me, like the price of the Snowcat for this would be correct. Like $325, $350.
Okay.
I could see because it is so big. But $450? That's a lot. That's asking a lot, especially now as, the economy's taking a little bit of a turn. Don't know if anyone's noticed. And, people just don't have the extra money that they used to. So it's got to be something that knocks your socks off if you're really going to spend that kind of money.
If I said, hush your filthy mouth, Dr. Brinley. If it was a bird of prey, you'd be all over it. You know what? We try not to talk a lot about that, but you're absolutely right. And so would I. But we have friends that host another podcast and we don't feel like fighting. So
now, see, I don't know that they could do that. Watch last minute how it still sells out.
Yeah, it will.
We'll see. Can't be an IP or license issue. Hasbro, owns G.I. Joe.
Yeah, so Hasbro does own G.I. Joe, but I think the price of the LAT is probably due to IP. And also like 3.75 Jedi, yuck.
Well, now if they made this for the 6-inch figures, you would not be able. That's like one of those toy cars for a child, right? A Power Wheel. Like that's how the size it would be.
Can I tell you? Okay, so speaking of that, I knew where I was gonna have a problem if Hasbro started making 1/12 scale vehicles for Star Wars. So I went and hung out with Darth Moocher over the weekend. And his son was playing a gig at a bar that was really close to my house. So we went and hung out, but we had to exchange some figures. I had some Star Wars stuff he needed. And then he had a Star Wars thing that I wanted, which was the Star Wars Black Series TIE Fighter.
Ooh.
That has to be my favorite thing I've gotten in a long time. The box is so damn big. I haven't opened it yet because I want to do an unboxing because I feel like those haven't really been done in a long time, especially when that came out. But I was like, see, this is where people would want to do this. Like if you made the LAT a 1/12 scale for Black Series and you did it as a HasLab, I guarantee you if that Star Wars HasLab was a 1/12 scale, just anything, it probably would have shot up, right? It's like Moocher said earlier, I think in 24 hours, he said that the he said that the Snowcat was around 4K in 24 hours or so. So that's the other problem is like it had such big momentum. And this is where this is where I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying as far as like, there's all these tiers and all these like whatever. And that was kind of the downfall with like Indiegogo and Kickstarter was like okay, well if we get to X amount of money, then this is what you'll also get. And if you do whatever, and if I could go back and do my Kickstarter differently, like I would do it in the way where yes, you always want to have something for people to strive for, but you also have to present the absolute best version of what it is that you want to give at the most expensive cost of what it is to fund, because I think at that point when you run it that way, it's better. Like what would have made the Snowcat really really take off, or the Lat take off, is if they had said, "Here's everything you're getting with the Snowcat," and it was everything that they have right now, right? Lady J. It was like everything, but then they don't show you what the unlocked features are, and you don't call them tiers. You just don't call them tiers. If you can afford to give me the Snowcat, right, for whatever $2.6 million, and then also throw in these other figures, right? Well, then you should just make that what it is, and then hide what you're going to release behind silhouettes. And the only way I can explain it is the exact way that Chris Scott did his Kickstarter. His Kickstarter was literally only meant to be for the other figures, and he knew that it's in the price, it's in the cost, right? But then he revealed what it was as unlocks as you got there. So you knew going into backing this is what I'm getting. So anything else is like is great, right? But the way that Hasbro is doing it, my opinion, if you're going to be doing crowdfunding, and we'll move into this in a few minutes, but if you're going to be doing crowdfunding as Hasbro or Mattel or McFarlane, then I don't think that you should gatekeep what you're going to release behind X amount of backers, because you already have the money. Like you legitimately, trust me, you already have the money to just do it, which is why I think, like back here, this little guy right here, I got the Dragon Man Am, which was the made to order one, right? So it was like you just had 60 days to buy it, and it was you was going to get made regardless of how many people bought it. We don't know how many people bought it, and the figure came, and it's awesome. It showed up, right? And then hold on real quick. It says my Jazzwares Micro Galaxy Ghost has more detail than the HasLab on the surface, costs 30, and I can put it on my shelf. First of all, Judge, if you can find that for $30 again, hit me up because I'll buy it. Because it's $60. And then Moocher agrees. But okay, so I think that they need to not. I think it needs to be different when it's coming from like Mattel or Hasbro, because the idea of crowdfunding is, I don't have the money, but I want to do it. So help me out. And if you do, this is what I can do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I appreciate the way that like Chris Scott did his for World War Hell.
Because you backed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you went all in or something.
Yeah. But one of the things that he did was on the different tiers, even if the certain ones didn't fund later on, you still got the same amount of figures. So you still got like the 6 figures. You can choose which ones you want. But so, the 2 at the end didn't fund. Well, that doesn't mean you're getting 2 less figures. It just means you can get 2 of the other ones, which, very smart thing to do. And things like that, I think, help. And they show that these guys doing it smaller somehow are able to do a better job than these giant corporations.
Yeah. One of the things I was talking about when we were at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was actually having the conversation with Mr. Alexander Thunderous Storm and Chris Scott, was I think where I think that Hasbro should churn the HasLab, and what I think they should turn the HasLab into is I think that they should look, number one, I think all of their HasLabs, as far as vehicles and everything, should be made to order the same way they did with the Sentinel for the X-Men 97, right? Because it's guaranteed money. People are gonna want it. You close it out. All of those people get it. They're all excited about it. Problem solved. What I think Hasbro and Mattel should do, if I was looking at the current state of like the business and I was running Hasbro, I would honestly churn HasLab into a version of Hasbro that finds people like Chris Scott or people that are making their own toys, and they end up putting them on HasLab. So it's a thing where you have to apply for it. You have to prove that you're doing it. It's not just something where you can just jump out of nowhere. But imagine like a HasLab where it's like someone like Chris Scott where they jump on, right? Or Hasbro goes, hey, our new HasLab in conjunction with Four Horsemen, right? Now Four Horsemen starts to get notoriety because it's Hasbro, and it opens up the whole new world for like IPs, and you could figure out how that would work, like finance wise, or like what is your split.
Yeah.
And you could even say like, Hasbro could be like, hey, we want to do this. But I think that they need to utilize the HasLab to bring other figures out into the world, because the Marvel Legends is great, Star Wars Black Series is great. I think Star Wars Black Series has a little bit longer longevity, but I think a lot of people are really getting tired of the same old Spider-Man. Where Black Series has an advantage is you can keep doing different kinds of like stormtroopers, because there's a whole shitload of stormtroopers. So you can do whatever version of them you like, because people are attached to a version of a stormtrooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think like Mattel Creations and Hasbro, like HasLab, needs to really look at like focusing on like, do we switch and do we go into like, okay, let's just start finding these indie creators, whether it's like AWOC or Savage Crucible, you have Four Horsemen, you have
Well,
you know
yeah, I think that's a cool idea, because you can take something like, pick a GI Joe character, right? Something that is unique, kind of one of the out there ones. But if you have Four Horsemen sculpted, right? So it will be all this detail that you don't usually get in the GI Joes. So it could be something really cool, and you do that for certain very specific characters, and make it a special event. And yeah, they will cost more, but it would be a thing.
yeah. um they might have to, going forward, in regards to like the made to order. And then Commander Blythe said made to order is the correct formula. I believe that it is the correct. And I'm not asking Hasbro to play nice. I'm asking Hasbro to. I think it's still cutthroat, and I still think it's like a business venture. But like, if somebody like, if they took someone like Chris Scott and put Hasbro money behind Grindhouse Toys, like, you would be on the precipice of something massive, to the point where, if we look at like just this comment from Judge, which I agree, which is 1/12 scale is not world building scale. He doesn't know why people want it. Look, I love 1/12 scale. I think it's just because it's a little bit bigger, you get to have it. But I also am a fan of like 3 3/4. It's just 1/18 scale typically isn't done right. But you have people like Chris Scott, where Grindhouse Toys is done right, and this articulation is just 1/12 articulation, and it is like really well detailed. Um, I think that Hasbro, while it sounds like it's playing nice, I don't necessarily know that I would classify it as playing nice. But that kind of leads me into like where we wanted to go, where we were talking about McFarlane, right? So when you look at McFarlane, like McFarlane, while I'm not a big fan of his figures, McFarlane literally is listening to people. And I know that this is something that Mr. Alexander Thunderous Storm wanted. And look, the entry level into this campaign is $79. So,
Yep. And guess what? He hit all of his goals. He's still got 16 days to go. So what does that tell you, right? It's like he needed less money to back this thing because, right, those other ones, they had to get to $3 and $2 million. He needed to get to 400,000. That was his goal, to make all these things. And you can choose what you want out of these different tiers. You can choose, oh, I want the Justice League figures, or I just want the Batmobile, or oh, it would be cool to get all that stuff and the tin poster. There's some choice, and you're not stuck with, oh, well, I'm backing this and I hope it gets to this certain point so I can get the thing that I really want that's at the end of this tier list.
Yeah, and what I love about the way that he did this is exactly what you're saying. I only want the vehicle. It is $79, and then I've contributed to this $463,000. And I know when I get it, I'm going to have the vehicle and nothing else, and I'm not going to be upset about it. But if I'm like, well, I would kind of like a figure, but I don't want all these other ones, then it's like, okay, I'll go with level 3. And even like level 3 isn't that expensive. And I think, this is just one of those things where it's like, and look, I say what you will about McFarlane figures. I gotta be honest with you. McFarlane does vehicles very well.
Yeah, these are cool.
Yeah, like I recently got to see the Batwing he did in person. That thing's fucking massive. and it's great, and it fits his figures.
And also, this is I love corporate greed. It makes me remember my place in the world. Yes, sir. That's the way you do it, like Todd does. Most people just want a vehicle and a fig, not all the other BS.
Yep.
And I like this version where you can get the base model that is from Batman v Superman. And then the next tier is just some add-on bits so that you can make it into the Justice League version. It's not like you have to get a whole nother giant Batmobile. It's a couple of things that add on to it.
And I think if I remember correctly, it's like a $20 difference, right?
Yeah.
It's like you go from 79, what is it, 79 to 109?
Or 89 or 99, something like that. But yeah, it's not too crazy. And if you want, they got some cool figures. They got the bat signal. It's always nice. I'm not so sure about the black and white figures. I wouldn't, I wouldn't get those, but that's just me.
The bat signal is cool, but we were talking about it. It's like, I think you could probably 3D print that bad boy.
Yeah. No, this is something, if you really want to, you can make on your own and choose whichever bat signal you want, or which bat shape you want, because they've had so many over the years. That's something they should do, is a bat signal with all the different Batman symbols that you can put in on any one.
That'd be kind of rad if they did that, actually.
And yeah, here's another thing about all of these big companies, right? Like for a HasLab, maybe you can do something where you have a couple of different things, right? You're like, hey, we want the audience to choose what we're going to make into a HasLab. We've got this from Star Wars. We've got this from G.I. Joe. We've got this from He-Man, and whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, which one do you want to fund? And then you can have people vote on that, and they can see what the interest is in these things. And if it's close, then they know, okay, well, we can make this other thing. And if it's not, then they're like, oh, well, I guess we don't need a Snowcat. Let's move on to something else.
Yes. Okay. So no, I was wrong. It's actually a lot. So the first tier is 79, and then the next tier up, which is the one where it turns it into the Justice League, is $99. So you're at $100 is like, you know, yeah, but I think McFarlane nailed it. I think this blueprint is great. And like, look, these past HasLabs, like these, these are all like HasLabs that Leo Kaiser was one that I was like, I don't know if this will fund, and then I was like, oh shit, there's like a cult behind it. And the His Tank was one that was like unreal, and this is one that I actually still want, and I was going to spend the money on a slow cat, but now I'm like, well, I'll just redirect my money to the His Tank and get that, because I really want the His Tank,
Now, and the His Tank, to me, that looks like something that you can make for the mass audience and people will buy it because it's not something crazy huge, right? Like the Snowcat, I understand making that a HasLab because it's so big. This isn't something that is outrageous. So you can sell this, I think, to the wider audience if you have it at a decent price point.
Yeah, and look, if the Snowcat funds, someone's going to be buying like 4 or 5 of these Snowcats, as they always do. This okay, so this is a HasLab where we were talking about earlier, where when you see it in person, it's like better than the photos. I didn't back this one solely because I don't have a lot of Ghostbuster stuff. However, I'm a very huge fan of Ghostbusters. The toys I just never really got into, but we saw this one live at San Diego Comic-Con, and this was better than the photos. And we have a video of it on our YouTube page. This is a very, very good HasLab.
Yeah, I liked all the lights were very nice. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is the characters, the extra characters are from Ghostbusters 1, but the Ghostbusters themselves are from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's just because they've already made those Ghostbusters 1 figures already.
Yeah.
But if I was going to get it, that's what I would want is Ghostbusters 1. I don't know how many people are really clamoring for Ghostbusters 2. And if you're going to do a Ghostbusters 2 one, then make like Vigo the Carpathian, right? You do some of those characters from that movie rather than Slimer and the Librarian.
Yeah, well, I can't. I remember one of the things you got with this was, I can't remember his name, but you also got the Rick Moranis character. So they did give you that. And the thing that was cool about this is like, I don't fucking understand why they just didn't recreate this with a Joe vehicle. Like, they gave you could buy the base version of it, or you could buy the one that came, so you can convert the Ecto one into like both versions. Like, that you did it right. Okay, you did it right for Ghostbusters, but then you just forgot what the fuck you did, and you did something else, and it's like I just don't understand what was happening. Mr. Storm said you can easily get the OG Ghostbuster characters on Amazon, so not that hard to find. Yeah, exactly, right. And you can transform this into either or and swap them in or out, and it's like, the fact that they did that makes zero sense as to why they couldn't do it any other way. And Commander Bly said, found out about Vigo, the master of evil, tried to battle my boys, and that's not legal. Let's just have a moment of silence for Commander Bly.
Hey man, you leave
So,
Bobby Brown alone.
So what's your final takeaway? If you could give any piece of advice to these companies doing this, what would your advice be?
Well, you just made me think of something with this Ghostbusters thing. Now, is there a vehicle that you could do on Joe where you could take off like the main part, like, it's just a clip on at the top, and switch it from like a Joe vehicle to a Cobra vehicle? where it's like the base thing is exactly the same, but then there's an overlay that changes it from either good guy to bad guy. And then you have both of those in the thing and you choose what you want to add to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough vehicles in the line to be able to do that. Where they would do with, like, I'm not really sure where they would do. Commander Bly, we're gonna send you the bill, just FYI, for that one. So as I was reading it, I was like, I probably should be saying this. Is too close. So do you would that be your advice to them, is start figuring out how to convert?
Maximize your what you're doing, right? So don't make it just one thing and that's it, right? The whole point of all these toy companies is trying to reuse molds and use things in other accessories or whatever so that it doesn't go to waste. Well, here's something where you can change it, good guys, bad guys, and maybe it's something that you can even do add-on kits where you change it, you just have the smaller piece that you change up and it goes onto a base model thing. And then you just sell those for like $25 each, and you can have, a whole bunch of different versions of it, and people will buy the same base model thing over and over again because it has this flexibility.
Oh, hey, look, Commander Black gave us 1 minute. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Your debts are clean, my son. Look, my advice is just start throwing everything out into the one has, like, look, if you're gonna do Snowcat again, put it all out there. Say this is how much it is for everything, right? Because that's it. This is how much it is for everything. Then, if you want to do special unlocks and trigger people to want to pay more, what you do is you hide it behind silhouettes. So just give them a silhouette of something, like, oh shit, if we get to this level that looks like we're getting a vehicle or another character, like, what could it be? Then you start building the buzz. The fact that you just, here's everything else, right? Like, you could have even built the buzz with the Rattler if you hid the patches behind silhouettes. Because people are like, what's round? Like, what goes with the Rattler is round? Does it have shooting discs, or like, is it whatever? And then, yeah, people be mad because you unlocked it and you fucking patches. But I think that they need to start putting it all or nothing. No tiers. And I think that, honestly, you can probably get away with moving the vehicles to a
made to order.
Just a made to order, because I think I think that that's kind of where people wanted to go. I mean, that's what happened with Dragon Man. I was excited about Dragon Man. I was like, please don't be like it wasn't HasLab. I was like, take my money right now, right? Because I was able to buy it, and they didn't charge me till it shipped, and then they got here, and now I have it, and it's one of my favorite all-time characters, and I think he's great.
This is how they should be moving forward on anything that is outside of their comfort zone.
Yep. And they did that with the Sentinel, by the way. Just FYI, they had the HasLab Sentinel, and it's a great HasLab. I love it. It's one that I eventually want to get. It's not on my top list. But then they released the X-Men 97 Sentinel, and I was like, holy shit. And it was a made to order. So I was like, yes, absolutely. And it was like half the price. And it was like, okay, great. And I actually like the style of X-Men 97 more than I do the HasLab. So yeah, I ordered it. It's totally fine. And I'm, I know Storm has one. He's still trying to figure out if he wants it. And I was like, don't cancel your order. I'm going to buy it from you if you don't want it. But yeah, with that being said, we are wrapping up. Our friends at the Sarlacc Digest podcast are kicking off, if not have already started. It is our job to transport you to a galaxy far, far away, where no man has ever gone before, because we don't want to get sued, so we're not going to say the real thing. But we are going to transport you over there in the Birds of Prey. For those of you that are joining in, we appreciate you. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, give those thumbs up. We release content every day, all the time, all week long, nonstop. We go live on Wednesdays with Toy Box Chronicles, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Fridays, 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern. We go live with Pixel Plastic Inc. We are a pop culture podcast over there. We talk about movies, films, TV, games, comics, toys, whatever you want. And we also, like I said, release things throughout the week. So make sure you're tuning into that. Huge shout out to our boys over at the Mercs. Those guys jumping on Toy Mercs being before us is fantastic. They had a great show today. They had on some guests, some customizers. Make sure you're checking them out. They go on a little bit earlier than us. I can't tell you what time they start because they never start on time, which is fantastic. At least they're consistent with that shit. And right
now, between 5:30 and 6 is when
between
they start.
5:30 and 6 they start. It's fantastic. And check out Legions magazine. That shit's kind of rad. So make sure you subscribe to that. And they're gonna a fun story. We have a massive convention coming up, LA Comic-Con. We have an announcement we're going to start announcing in like a week or two. It's going to be wild. You're going to have Advent Comics. You're going to have Odd Frog. You're going to have David Bonner. We're going to have Dead Man and Legions Magazine. SKN's going to be there. We're going to, but there's something big we're going to announce. We're going to tell everybody, make sure you're tuning in, staying tuned. We're going to do whatever we can. We got the middle fingers, which means we know that Dead Man loves us. He's so fantastic. With that being said, Mr. Dr. Brentley, do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, I have